Hey, this is the Red Wizard, psychic medium, visual artist, and educator. Before we get started, I want to invite you to check out my new 3-part educational series called Unlock Peace, Energy, and Clarity. This is a 3-part video series where I share 3 different techniques to help you discover your true self, to unlock the natural peace, energy, and love that you already have sitting right here in your heart. The 3 techniques that I teach were super helpful for me in my spiritual journey, and there's things that I've been doing for probably 15 years now. So they've been super helpful for me, and I hope that they could be super helpful for you. You can find the 3-part video series at realpeacenow.net. That is realpeacenow.net, or you could go to the link in the description below. The other thing that I'm offering is psychic medium readings. Yes, I am offering about 1 or 2 spots a week where we could get in touch with your spirit guides, maybe some ancestors of yours, and do a tarot card reading. It's about an hour-long reading that I'm offering. I only have time to do about 1 or 2 a week, and if that's something that interests you, you can find the link in the video description below. Again, I'm a psychic medium, and I want to start offering readings to people, so you could go to the link in the description below, and that would be about an hour-long reading that I'm offering. So again, limited spots, so just hit me up. Anyway, thanks for being here, and let's start the video. Okay, I want to talk about suffering today, and I want to answer the question, why do we suffer? I'm going to answer this question in 2 ways. Number 1 is going to be like a philosophical framework that we could look at this through. This philosophy comes from the ancient Advaita Vedanta teachings of non-duality. And the other way we're going to answer this question is by looking at the fact that because we are spirit, because we are consciousness, because we are God, suffering is an illusion. Suffering ultimately isn't real. And I know what you're saying already. And yes, there is certainly a tremendous amount of suffering. And I'm not trying to take away from anyone's personal suffering. Suffering, seeing and witnessing deep suffering, is really one of the main reasons I started making these videos. Suffering is a part of life, and it's a terrible thing. But if we truly want to be strong spiritual seekers, we can't be running from the beast anymore. We have to look at suffering straight in the face. We have to look at fear straight in the face. Right? We want to be strong. The great Hindu teacher, Swami Vivekananda, said that the earth is a great gymnasium we come to make ourselves strong. How could a God that is full of love and grace create a world that has pain and suffering? First, let's answer this philosophically. In order for, let's simplify the word suffering. Let's call it pain. Let's call it sadness. In order for me to know what happiness is, in order for me to be able to experience happiness, I have to be able to experience sadness. Where there is hot, there is cold. Where there is light, there is shadow. Where there is up, there is down. We cannot have one without the other. This is the rules of the game. This is the rules of the matrix. So really, there's your answer, but we're going to go deeper. The other day, I had such a beautiful day. It was such an amazing, pleasant afternoon. The weather was perfect. Do you know how I know the weather was perfect? Is because I've been through many, many lousy weather days. We only know when we're really happy and joyful. We can only know that when we've had crappy days. We can't have one without the other. Let's look at this a little bit deeper. Non duality teaches that we are not one thing or the same thing, or there is no two things. So let's look at like temperature, for example, hot and cold. We think of hot and cold as being these like opposite things, when in fact they're the same thing, they're just literally different degrees. I could have hot water, I could have cold water. It's still just water. So we could see that this is like a spectrum or a scale. And all of these seemingly pairs of opposites are really just the same thing, just in kind of like different states. It's a difference of likeness, not kind. In order to have day, we have to have night. And then there's twilight in between. Like, let's look a little bit closer at happiness for an example, right? We're not just happy. We can be go higher. We could be like happy, joyful, ecstatic, ecstasy, right? I don't know the scales here. And then we could go down. We could be like happy. We could be pretty good. We could be meh. Then we could get lower into like malaise, sadness, and sorrow and depression, right? So again, it's a scale. We can all cultivate peace of mind, not so much by searching for peace, but by searching for evenness. Because again, peace is one of these things that we think of as being an opposite of another. So if we're trying to be and feel peaceful, as soon as we don't feel that way, we get down on ourselves. We don't want a peaceful mind, we want an even mind. So we could begin to see how, instead of looking at things as being opposite and desiring one or the other, we could understand that they're really kind of all the same thing. A wise person knows that when they're super duper happy, not to enjoy it, but to not expect that they're always going to be happy, because that simply can't exist. When I have a happy day or a joyful day, that's great. Enjoy it. But we understand that eventually there will be sadness. What is born will eventually die. What goes up must come down. Let's be adults here and just look at the reality in the face and understand that. It's part of the game. It's part of the rules of the way this material universe works. Now we can begin to overcome. So, sorrow, sadness, and suffering are the necessary evils, so to speak, in a world that has happiness and joy and love. Now, before I go on to tell you how suffering is an illusion, I want to just make a note here personally that I know in my life, oftentimes suffering, sorrow, and sadness was a teacher for me. And it was only when I had enough that I really changed my life and moved things forward. It's only when you've had enough in a relationship and you've suffered enough where you're like, I'm getting the hell out of this relationship. Same thing with a job. It's only when you've truly had enough. People who talk about being sober, addicts and alcoholics, talk about hitting rock bottom. I recently heard Mike Tyson say in an interview, hitting rock bottom is beautiful because that's when you legitimately turn it around and start crawling out of the hole. So, pain and suffering and sadness are often teachers and turning points for us. So let's not forget that. Now, how is suffering an illusion? Again, we experience pain and suffering as being very real. The reason I created this channel was because of the suffering that I saw some people witness. Deep suffering. How is suffering not real? In non-dual philosophy, we say it's an illusion because an illusion is a temporary thing. What is real lasts forever. So we understand that for the most part, if we're suffering, we don't suffer our entire lives. Maybe there's a condition or something and we begin suffering, and hopefully eventually the suffering ceases, we get better, and then we're better again and we're happy. So it's an illusion in that it only lasts for like a certain duration. So for some of us, we're fine. Then we suffer, we get really sick, and then the body passes, and we die, or the body dies, I should say. Well, suffering's certainly over then. So to make our terms clear, an illusion is something that doesn't last forever. So suffering cannot last forever, just like being happy can't last forever. It can't suck all the time, just like it can't be good all the time. Okay, so having said that, let's get a little deeper into the spiritual teachings here. You are God, you are spirit, you are consciousness. I use these words interchangeably. And before you were born, you were one with Source. You were completely one with God, and you knew that, and you existed in that source, in that fountain of light. And the only way I could kind of compare this to something in my life that we've maybe shared is like video games. When you're one with spirit and you're completely one with God and you're fully aware of that, it possibly is boring because we've decided to come back to the earth. We've decided to put skin on, come into a body, and experience the earth, knowing full well that the earth is both a wonderful and terrible place, knowing that there's illness, sickness, and death. The reason why I compare it to video games is because I grew up an only child, and when I played video games, I never had to worry about competing with an older brother or sister to play. I was the little king of the castle. I used to love to put cheat codes on and become invincible, give myself infinite resources. I loved like SimCity and StarCraft and Warcraft, these like world building games, and I would have infinite resources. I would build all these things. I would be impossibly strong. You couldn't kill me. But eventually that gets boring because there's no stakes, right? It's only when we think a movie's real that it's really like, whoa, and we go for a ride. So the world is an extremely compelling illusion that we've put ourselves into for an experience. The world is a great gymnasium where we come to make ourselves strong. I don't fully know what's going on the other side. I don't know why we want to come back here. but the sages say it's for learning and for experience. The great Alan Watts, the Zen Buddhist teacher, um, put it like this: if you were God and you had all the time in the world, beyond all the time in the world, if you had an infinite amount of time, an infinite amount of power, then potentially you would have an infinite amount of time to put yourself inside of an infinite amount of dreams where you could play out as many fantasies and dreams as you could have ever wanted. And he further says, how do we know that's not what we're doing right now? Eventually, we would want to forget that we were dreaming, and we would want to have a very real and compelling experience. This is what we're doing here. It's a mystery, but this is what we're doing. Buddha said he was just awake. Krishna calls the world a play, like a theatrical play. We are all in the Matrix. We are all Neo before he realizes that he's in the illusion. It's a very compelling illusion. So, when we experience suffering, it is painful and it sucks and it is horrible, but it can't last forever. And who you are can never truly be maimed, tarnished, stained, sullied, condemned, or harmed. Because you are God, you are spirit, you are consciousness. You are light, you are love, you are bliss. All of these experiences are just illusions that are passing through, even the painful and the compelling ones. I hope this was helpful. This is just something that I really wanted to share.